Arkansas Veterans Healthcare System is an organization that makes a positive change in the community by serving the veterans that have served us. Have you ever wanted to show appreciation towards the veterans who gave us our freedom? Well, once a year, there is a National Salute to Veterans Week that is held by the Central Arkansas Veterans Healthcare System, which is a week to honor and show appreciation and to give a big thank you to veterans. My name is Cody McMunn. I am a UALR student taking Speech 1300. I completed a 4-hour service experience as well as the other students did, but mine was at the North Little Rock VA Hospital during the week of National Salute for a Sweetheart Luncheon and a bingo. Based on the service experience, I hope to see how communication and service relate through the analysis of communication concepts, principles, and implications. First, I will provide my service story, and second, I will analyze the communication of the story. Third, I will identify the communication recommendations and implications. So first off, I completed my service at the Central Arkansas Veterans Healthcare System's North Little Rock VA Hospital during the National Salute to Veterans Week. Do you ever wonder what hospitals strive for as far as their missions or goals? Well, according to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs website, littlerock.va.gov, 2015, the mission of the Central Arkansas Veterans Healthcare System is to honor veterans and improve the health and well-being of the veterans and to provide exceptional health care. For my story, it starts off in the gym of the North Little Rock VA Hospital. It is decorated very nicely with Valentine's balloons and lots of candy, heart tablecloths. The people that were a part of this service experience were the veterans that were staying at the hospital, and then the volunteers, which had all different backgrounds. The Sweetheart Lunch and Veterans Bingo recreational activities included many tasks. I served people, handed out prizes, cleaned up after the events, wheeled veterans back and forth from their rooms to the gyms and back again. The work that I performed during my service experience helped the organization with the mission because it helped provide an environment that allowed extra human contact other than just the nurses that they talked to while they were there. And it made them feel like they weren't alone. Second, there are 2 communication concepts and 1 communication principle that connected to my service experience. Just like the rest of you who completed volunteer service hours, I searched for the relation between communication and service. According to Lane, Abigail, and Gooch, 2014, the definition of transactions is the communication that is simultaneous between people engaged in face-to-face interactions. An example from my service that illustrates this concept is a touching story between the bingo man and a veteran. The veteran kept calling out a specific number and letter throughout the whole game, yet he never won. We got to the very end, and then the bingo man didn't even draw out a letter and number. He decided to call out the letter and number that the veteran asked for. There was a transaction going on between the two where one expressed what he wanted, the veteran, and the other listened and decided to give the veteran what he hoped for and wished for, which was that letter and number and a prize. Then the second concept would be civil listening. According to Lane, Abigail, and Gooch, 2014, the definition of civil listening is a style of listening that includes the belief that there's the belief in the quality of people and humanity. An example of this from my service experience would be when all of the volunteers gathered around in a circle. We were expressing our backgrounds, what we hoped for, why we were there volunteering, And like I said, all of us had different backgrounds. Some of us were retired veterans, some were nurses, some were sorority girls from a college, and then there was myself. My example illustrates the definition because this group of volunteers and myself, we were being respectful, listening to one another, acknowledging and honoring and showing attention and care. The relevant communication principle is the meaning of messages is influenced by interpretation. According to the Department of Applied Communications 2017 Survival Guide, the definition would be the meaning of messages is influenced by interpretation, which is people are unique and generate their own unique meaning. An example from my service experience would be a face-to-face conversation that I had with a man that loved to go hunting and fishing. He asked me if I liked to do that sort of thing, and I said yes, but I had been busy with school and didn't have a whole lot of time to do it at the moment, even though I loved it. My example illustrates this principle because the conversation was a once-in-a-lifetime conversation between a volunteer and a veteran. It was a conversation to pass time as I was wheeling him into his room, and through the conversation I gathered that he was lonely, that he had only been talking to nurses all day. So he wanted to get out of that hospital bed into the gym where everybody else was so that he could have fun and communicate with others. And third, based on my service experience, I can use communication concepts and civil and ethical implications to improve my communication and improve the community. I would hope to think that everyone would love to find ways to improve their communication and the community as well. Well, one communication concept that I could use to do that would be empathy. According to Lane, Abigail, and Gooch, 2014, the definition of empathy is when people attempt to understand the thoughts and feelings of others while they're communicating. I chose this concept based on my service experience because when I wheeled the veteran that spoke about hunting and fishing, I tried to be empathetic with him to understand what he was going through and how he was feeling. I can use this concept to improve my communication in that way, just so that I know how to react and what to say to them based off of what they're feeling and what they're going through. A civil or ethical implication I can use to improve my community would be caring with grace. According to the Department of Applied Communications 2017 Survival Guide, the definition of caring with grace is to understand and meet the needs of people. I chose this implication because veterans in a hospital environment have needs that need to be met other than health being restored. People need each other for support, connection, communication. We're not meant to be alone. In a hospital, sometimes can feel lonely. Positive attitudes, positive communication, and compassionate words outside of the hospital, in the community, and can improve the hospital community if those people get in there in the hospital and spend time with those veterans. I can use this implication to improve my community by encouraging others to volunteer for service experiences through the Central Arkansas Veterans Healthcare System's volunteer services, by reminding people to remember why we have our freedom, by influencing people to find ways to honor the veterans, and by teaching through my actions and how I act in situations to try to be positive, forgiving, and compassionate. And to sum up this service experience, I would like to say that communication concepts, principles, and implications connect logically to service experiences. I was able to connect the service story with communication by telling the service story, analyzing the communication in the story, and by identifying communication recommendations and implications. Communication and service go hand in hand in making an impact in the lives of others in the community, and the Central Arkansas Veterans Healthcare System knows this and has done this through their voluntary services. Thank you.